What's up, wealth builders? It's Ryan Pineda. Welcome to another masterclass. Today, if you are an entrepreneur or a business person who's been trying to build your brand and you've been stuck, you don't know where to start, this class is for you. We're going to be going in depth on what the proper sequence is and how you can start building your influence and your business today. I'm going to ask you to do one thing before we get started, and that is get a piece of paper out, get a pen, or if you're on your computer or your phone, start getting your notes out so you can take notes, because we are going to ask you a bunch of questions that you need to answer to help you figure out what you want your brand to be about. So before we jump into this, okay, I want to talk to you about the goal for today, all right? We got 3 questions that we need to answer before you start your personal brand, okay? The first one is, what's the blueprint, right? Like, what are we going to focus on? Who are the people we want to attract? What's our strategy? You know, what kind of content and all that do we want to make? So we need to understand how we are going to have a blueprint first off. If you don't have a blueprint, you just start making content out of nowhere, it's not going to really lead to the place you want it to go, and you're probably not going to have a lot of success. So I want to go over what you should be thinking about when you're creating a blueprint, okay? Second thing is production. All right. So a lot of people think that, oh man, like the edits and all this stuff, where do I find the editors? What kind of content should I make? How should the aesthetic be? What about the subtitles? I get these questions all the time. Now, I'll tell you, it's important, right? Production is very important, but it's honestly not more important than step 1 with the blueprint, okay? Because if you don't understand the ideas and the people you're trying to reach, if you try to edit videos and put them out there, it doesn't really matter because you're already making the wrong kind of content. And my guess is if you're watching this and you've tried making content, you've hadn't had success, it's probably because you skipped step 1 and you went straight to production and you thought by just hiring somebody to edit your videos, you were gonna have a success. Well, as you probably found out, that's not the case, okay? You gotta have a good plan in place with your blueprint, then you're gonna have production, right? Now, once you have production and you're creating content, the last piece of the puzzle is monetization, all right? How do we start turning eyeballs into dollars for your business? If you aren't properly monetizing, then it's gonna be tough. Like, as much as we all love making content, it takes time to produce videos, things like this. And so there's gotta be some kind of return on your time. Nobody's making content today for free just because they love it. They're monetizing it in some kind of way. And so there are a lot of ways to monetize, which we'll go over. And this is what's going to allow you to do so much more, right? If you're making money from content, you're gonna be able to help more people. You're gonna be able to grow your business, have a better lifestyle. And in turn, you can actually start reinvesting it into doing content at an even bigger scale, more volume, even better quality. And so, having monetization in place is so important, right? So these are the 3 things that we are gonna cover today on this training. Now, before I cover these, I want to just ask you a question, right? Why? Why do you even want to create content? Why do you want to start your personal brand? Like, this isn't easy to do off the bat. It gets much easier as time goes on, okay? As you get more reps in, you have the right training and coaching and everything else, it definitely gets easier. But off the bat for most people, it's like learning any new skill. It takes time and it's somewhat hard. So you got to ask yourself, why am I even doing this, okay? For me, I'll give you a quick story about how I started in content, okay? Back in 2016, I got started by just making Facebook posts about my house flipping career. At that time, it was my 2nd year flipping houses, so I by no means was like this big shot house flipper. Like, barely anyone knew who I was. I didn't have like all this credibility or anything. And so, a lot of people would have been like, dude, why are you trying to make content? Well, I had a mentor come to me one day and he said, Ryan, you should make videos or post or whatever you want to call it, just about your house flips. Show people what you're doing. And if you show them what you're doing, my guess is you're going to probably get more deals from it, and you're going to probably get more investors to invest with you on these flips. And I said, all right, I'm introverted. I don't really want people all up in my business. I don't want people to think I'm showing off about these house flips and these things I'm doing. I had all the false beliefs that many of you probably have too. I was super concerned about judgment from my family, my friends, all this stuff. And I just looked at him and, he's a guy who was already a millionaire doing well. I wasn't. And so I said, you know what? If you think this is worth doing, then I'm just going to do it and take a shot. And so in 2016, at that time, there was no Instagram or TikTok or any of these things. Facebook was the big platform. And so I just got on Facebook and I started just making posts about the before and afters I was doing on my house flips. I would just say, hey, we bought this house for this. Here were some of the renovations we did. This is what it cost. And then here's the final product. And here's what I sold it for. Here's how much I made. Here's what my investor made. It was great. And that was it. That was the content. I was literally just documenting it. I wasn't teaching people because, I wasn't this big authority or anything. I was just showing people what I was doing. Well, from there, people started to take notice. They were like, who's this young kid, out here in Vegas flipping houses? And sure enough, I started to have realtors send me deals, other people send me deals. I started to have people reach out and say, Ryan, we want to invest with you. How does that work? We saw your investor made this much on your last deal. How can we do that? And that was the beginning of it for me. I was not consistent. I didn't really have much of a plan. I just put myself out there, and sure enough, it got me deals. It got me investors. And I would say within that first year, it easily made me multiple six figures, just kind of winging it. Now, this was a completely different time than today, right? Back 8 years ago, 7 years ago, influencers and everything weren't what they are today, right? Content creators, influencers have so much more power today than they did then. But I understood that if I just put out stuff, people would become aware of me and it would help my business. And that's exactly what happened. Now, for me, as time went on, I realized okay, this stuff is becoming more and more important. There's things like YouTube, there's all these other platforms coming up. Just being on Facebook isn't enough. So what do I do? Well, in 2020, as we all know, the pandemic hit. And I had a decision to make. I said, what do I want to do with my time? I can't go to all my house flips. For those who didn't know, I was flipping lots and lots of houses, 100 plus houses a year. And that was my main business. It wasn't social media. I was just a normal business guy who realized that social media was the next evolution in business. And so I said, you know what? If everyone's locked up at the house, under all this stuff, I'm going to make content because everyone's on their phone, everyone's on their TV. Why don't I be the guy who they're watching? And so that's what I did. I started making YouTube content in the middle of 2020. I also got on this weird little app called TikTok that most people had dismissed, especially business people and entrepreneurs. They were like, that's a kid's app. That's stupid. Why are you making these videos over there? Sure enough, it ended up being correct. And, within, I think, 3 months on TikTok, I got to 100,000 followers. My YouTube by the end of the year got to about 75,000 subscribers. And at that point, I realized content was the future. I was convinced that year because I just saw how much it impacted my business. I mean, that year alone in 2020 from 2019, I literally 3x'd my business, and most of it was because of content. I was able to raise more money. I was able to get better employees for my business. I was able to get more leads for my companies. I was able to raise more money, get more deals, everything, right? It was just this crazy leap. And I was like, wow, what would happen if I devoted even more time to it? And so in 2021, 2022, I started making content and taking it to the next level. And sure enough, just every year along the way, not only has my following increased, but my revenues have increased, my net worth has increased. It's crazy. At this point in time, I've been in social media seriously for a little over 3 years. And in just that short amount of time, I've gotten almost 1 billion views online organically without having to go do paid ads or anything else. These are organic views that were made just because we understood how to use the algorithm, how to make great content that people wanted to watch. In addition to that, I was able to make tens of millions of dollars in revenue. I was able to raise tens of millions of dollars for my real estate deals. And my net worth, literally in the last 3 years, has probably 5 or 10x'd from where it was before I started creating content. Okay? So when I tell you content's important, I'm telling you it from a guy who was already very successful in business. I was already a multimillionaire before I started making content. I was running a big house flipping operation, already raising money and doing things. So for me, it could have been easy to be like, well, let me just go work on my business and keep growing that. But I made the choice and said, I think this is the future. Let me spend time over here because I think this is what gets me to the next level. And it did exactly that. And not only has it helped my life and my family's life and everything else, but it's impacted so many other people, okay? You're probably watching this training and you've probably watched my content before. We've probably never met. But guess what? Hopefully, this training or some other piece of content I've made has helped your life as well. That's my hope. And that's only attainable because I decided to get out of my comfort zone and start producing content. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. The reward is worth it. It's just crazy, not only for yourself, but for those you're able to impact because of it. I look back at our office right now. This is one of our studios, but we have 100 employees across all of our companies, and it's because of content. We've attracted the majority of them from social media, and they're all amazing people who want to be here. Because guess what? They were already following me before, and then this was like an amazing opportunity for them. And now we have this culture that's, really great. And social media helped create all of that. And so, it's worked for me, and I'm not the only one, okay? I want to make this clear. It'd be easy if I was the only one, but I'm not. If you look at all your favorite entrepreneurs on social media, look at the Grant Cardones, look at the Alex Hormozis, look at the Cody Sanchez's, look at, Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, all these people, why are they making content? Couldn't they just be working on their normal business? That's what I hear from people all the time. If you're making so much money in your normal business, why are you making content? Why are you selling courses? Why are you doing any of this stuff? Well, the reality is it's a better opportunity, and it will amplify their current business far greater than anything else they could have done. And that's the part that annoys me about most people is they're like, well, freaking just go do something else. It's like, well, a smart business person does whatever is the highest and best use of their time for their business and their life. If content is the thing that is going to get your business the most revenue, the most exposure, and help the most people, then you as the business owner should be making content and you should be building your brand. And anybody else who tries to say different doesn't understand business, okay? They just would rather do something inefficient out of pride or fear. Most of the people who say that are just scared. And so my hope is if you were one of those people watching this, that you'd realize I don't want to be like that. I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to go out there and build my brand, and I'm going to just make it happen because other people who are very smart and ahead of me have done it, and therefore I'm going to do it too, okay? So, for me, the other thing that content has done that's been crazy is it's allowed me to build really important relationships. Everyone I just mentioned, I've met. Okay, I have a relationship with them now. And guess what? Because we have a relationship, they've been on my podcast. A lot of them have spoken at my events. I've spoken at their different events. I've been to their offices. It's crazy. I've been to their houses. I would have never been able to do that if I didn't get out there and make social media content. And guess what? Now that I have a relationship with them, I've learned so much from them. I was just some guy who was, making videos about house flips. And now I get to hang out with the people others are watching, trying to learn from, and I can get to ask them different things, and we can do other, business ventures together. It's crazy. So content is worth it, and I want you guys to know that. And building a brand is very important. If I were to just lose all my money tomorrow, okay, if I were to just, lose the businesses, lose the money, you can't take away all the brand equity that I've built. We could start back tomorrow, and because we have attention, we know how to build a brand, we know how to create content, we'd be able to gain it right back because you can't take away the skills, okay? So nobody can ever take that from you. And, at the end of the day, I could just go make a post or send an email to our massive database now, and we could start generating revenue instantly. So my point is, with all of this, I've only been doing this for about 3+ years. And it's already yielded all the things I talked about, okay? And I've already made all the mistakes and hired all the wrong people and done all the things that did not work. I started with a very low budget of doing everything myself. I realized that didn't get me very far. I hired one person, paid him like $3,000 a month. I started to realize that wasn't enough, and so I started scaling and having more success. And by the time it was all said and done, today, truthfully, just to let you guys know, I spend about $50K plus a month on my own content production for me. Now, I put out 50 pieces of content plus a day, and I can tell you content, is definitely not meant to be cheap, but you don't have to spend $50K a month to get great results. In fact, you could spend 1/10 of this with the right team, with the right help and get amazing results. That's exactly how I started. I started spending more as I had more and more success, okay? So I'm not saying you gotta go spend 50K, I just wanna give you perspective of how much I spend and how much other guys who are at the highest level spend, but they all start from somewhere, okay? So you just gotta make that decision that you wanna start from somewhere and get it done, okay? So that being said, let's talk about the blueprint, okay? Let's talk about how you need to go about doing this, okay? So I have a saying, all right? We need to understand what your brand is going to actually be, okay? My saying is this: you can't compete with unique, all right? You literally can't compete with unique. Every single person watching this is unique in their own way, all right? And the problem is a lot of people try to, be like other people, right? At that point, you're just kind of like a bootleg version of somebody else. If you were to like put your hair like mine and dye it, well, people would look at you and be like, dude, are you just trying to copy Ryan? Like, what are you doing? So don't try to copy people, just embrace who you actually are, okay? So I told you to get a notebook and a pen out, and I just want to go through an exercise with you so you can understand what makes you unique, all right? So let's just start answering some questions, all right? So first question I want you to answer is, what's your business, okay? That's the first thing we need to know. We're all entrepreneurs and business people around here. So what is your business, okay? Write that down. Are you in real estate, insurance, solar, what are you in? Just put it all down there, okay? Second thing I want you to answer is hobbies. What kind of hobbies do you have? For me, golf's a hobby. I like watching movies. I like reading books. I have a bunch of different hobbies. I play pickleball now. I got one in my backyard. So, what are your different hobbies that, make you you? Okay. The next thing I want you to answer is family. What's your family life look like? Are you single? Are you a bachelor? Are you a guy like me who's got 3 kids and, a wife for 10 years? What exactly is your family status? Because at the end of the day, it is what it is. And all this is going to play a role into making you, you. All right. Fourth, what are your political beliefs? Okay. This is something people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are we talking about politics, right? Everyone said never to talk about politics. Well, guess what? The most famous people on social media talk about politics, okay? You can't just hide from everything and stand from nothing. You gotta be willing to share your beliefs on social media. The more you share, the more people are going to resonate with you, okay? And, that one also comes down to religion, all right? On social media, I share a Bible verse every single day. I literally write a devotional every single day. Now, there are people who are not Christians who may not like that, but they still follow me because of these other things. And then there are Christians who love it, and now they're even bigger fans because of that, right? For me, it's not that I'm trying to do either or, it's just who I am. I'm not trying to just be something I'm not, it's just who I am, and that's what I want to share. And so because of that, it's going to push some people away, and it's going to attract some people even closer, okay? So just remember that. Next thing, I want you to look at are your experiences. What kind of experiences do you have in your life that are unique? For me, I'll share a couple with you. I was a professional baseball player. I got drafted by the Oakland A's in 2010. I played minor league baseball for many years, never got to the big leagues, but that's a very unique experience that very few have, right? So what kind of experiences do you have that make you unique? Another one would be, what kind of successes do you have that, really highlight your, resume and your track record and everything else, right? Because if you've got nothing going on for you, then you're probably not watching this video. We all have success in our life, but you got to highlight these successes so people know and want to learn from you. Like a success for me that I always share is that I founded 6 different 7 to 8 figure companies, in just the last, 5 years, really. It's like, man, most people dream to have 1 7-figure company. Very few ever achieve 8 figures. The fact that I've started 6 different ones that have all done it, and I'll start more than that as time goes on, is a very unique success. I also have flipped over 500 homes. we currently own and manage over 500 rental units. Like, those are successes. I don't say them to brag. I'm just telling you the truth of what I've done. Those are my successes. And I've also had failures along the way too. Like, that's a good thing for you to remember to share. I've had many failures. For all the business successes, I've had some that have failed. And guess what? I've transparently shared the failures too. When I talk about how, flips that have lost me money, real estate deals gone bad, partnerships gone bad, businesses gone bad, guess what? It makes me more relatable to the person watching, and they can see like, oh, this guy ain't just like some robot who just never fails. Like, you want to identify all these things we're talking about for relatability, and I'll get to that in a sec, right? Another thing I want you to answer is just like your avatar, okay? Your avatar is the person that you want to watch you, okay? Who are the people you want to watch you that, your business can help? For me, I know a lot of people who watch me are very similar to me. I mean, the demographics, usually about 21 to 45 years old. I don't have a lot of kids watching me. I don't have a lot of older people watching me. They're all kind of just like me, right? I'm 34 years old right now. And so, majority of people who watch me are men, all right? Once again, I'm a dude. I get a lot of Christians. I get a lot of ex-athletes. I get a lot of people, guess what, who are like me in some kind of way, right? And my guess is many are going to be like you. And I'll tell you this too. A lot of people who follow me are either entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs. I don't have a lot of people who follow me who are, happy W-2 people who just chill and, they go cash their check and they check out. Those type of people don't really follow me. So I don't make content for them. I make content for the entrepreneur. I make businesses for the entrepreneur. So, that's something that you need to think about, all right? And lastly, I'll give you number 10, okay? Number 10 is this, okay? Who are your current, influencers that you like, that, you'd like to be like, okay? So now we're thinking like, okay, the avatar are the people I'm trying to help. The influencers are the people that I aspire to be like one day, right? So when I got started, I just knew, I was like, hey, I like these guys like Cardone. I like these other guys. And, one day if I can meet those guys, that's the dream, right? And if I could, get to their level of success one day, that's the dream. And so write a list down of the people that, you really admire and everything else. So that being said, okay, I just gave you 10 different things to think about. There's more, but these are some questions that you can answer right now or after this. And they start to define who you actually are, all right? Because think about this. If you're a realtor, let's just use that as an example, okay? Your business is realtor. Well, there's a lot of realtors out there in the US, okay, and worldwide. What's going to make somebody pick you over somebody else? Well, a lot of people think, well, my service is so much better and this, and, I'm the cheapest or I'm the most expensive. I do this neighborhood the best. That's what normal realtors say. And guess what? Normal realtors suck at building their brand. Almost none of them have a brand. You can name off the top of your hand, the people you actually know that have a brand like Ryan Serhant, all right? There's not many of them. Here's the reason. They don't incorporate these other things into their brand. Because if you start showcasing these other aspects of your life, you're going to start getting people who resonate with you on one of these other levels as well. So think about it, right? If you're super into golf, like me, right? And you also have a young family, like me, okay? And then maybe you're also Christian, like me. There's a good chance, okay? Let's just say I'm a realtor, which I'm not. But there's a good chance if you're in the same city as me and I'm showcasing all these things on my brand and you need to buy or sell a house, there's a really good chance you're going to pick me. And it has nothing to do with how many deals I've done or, the level of service or anything. You're likely to choose me because you resonate with me in some kind of way, okay? And that's how it goes. People need to have commonality with you in other ways beyond just your business. And so anytime I see people who are like, oh, let's keep all my social media just all business, I'm like, that's stupid. You're a robot. Nobody wants to do business with a robot, all right? AI hasn't taken everyone's job yet, okay? People want, an actual person who has their own successes, right? You got you get more track record, you're gonna have more success. You're gonna have more people who wanna watch you, more people who wanna work with you. There's no doubt about it. But when you're vulnerable about failures and these other things that are important to you, it makes people resonate with you all the more, okay? These are things to think about when you're trying to scope out how you wanna go about building your brand. Now, the next thing we need to think about is this, okay? Number 2, production. All right, so we're gonna talk about production. Now, I'm pretty far into this, by the way, so let me just add this here. If you wanna work with my team and you want us to help you build your brand, you can actually just click the link below here and book a call with my team. We would love to help you build out your brand like I was just discussing, and I'll talk about more of it as time goes on during this training, but I just wanna throw that out there because I know a ton of you watching this are like, they don't have time to watch the rest of this. It's great content. I'm just ready to go. Help me out. Well, if you're that person, just fill out the form below and talk to my team. Free consultation. We'd love to help you build your brand, okay? Now that being said, let's go into production. People always say, Ryan, well, okay, I get it. Building a brand's cool. What kind of content should I make? Well, here is my philosophy, all right? It goes like this. Short form leads to long form, which leads to customer. All right, so what does this mean? Short form content is things like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, IG Reels, Instagram Reels, for those who don't know, right? So it's like the vertical videos, they're usually under 60 seconds. Short form is not really meant for people to sell you, it's really just meant for awareness, for people to become aware of who you are, right? From there, the goal is to get them into long form content. Long form for me is anything over an hour. That would be a podcast. At the end of the day, if somebody spends time with you, they are going to become a customer, right? Once they start watching a lot of your long form content, as long as you're getting the right people to watch you, they become a customer of your business. Now, here's the thing, okay? Why does this work? Well, I'll tell you, it's just building trust. When you think about why you end up hiring somebody or why you work with somebody, it's because you trust them. You trust that, they're gonna do what they say, they're gonna do a good job, they're gonna be able to fulfill on whatever it is, you're hiring them for, right? The realtor, you believe they're gonna do a good job and find you the home or sell your home, right? With Pineda Media, like we're talking about now, you believe that we can help you build your brand far better than anyone else, okay? So you gotta build trust. But here's the thing, if you're trying to build trust, how do you go about it? Well, with anything, okay, the only way you build trust is just through time, okay? Trust is the same thing as time. You just have to spend a lot of time together. Think about it, when you're gonna go date somebody, all right, you go see this pretty girl on the street, what's the first thing? You're like, yeah, that girl's pretty, like, cool. You're not gonna go marry her right now unless, maybe you're a crazy person and you might, but for the most part, you're gonna be like, yo, let me go talk to this girl and let's get to know each other, okay? Let's spend time together. Let's build trust throughout that time, right? And you're gonna get to know that person because you just keep spending more and more time together. You're gonna learn their faults, you're gonna learn what you like, and then, if you both like each other, then you're gonna have a decision to make if you both wanna be together, right? The same thing is true in business, right? In business, what used to happen is you would go out and go to coffee or something like that. Or you would go out on the golf course or go have lunch or something, right? What's the whole point of inviting somebody there for a business meeting? The whole point is you want to spend time together so that they trust you and you guys can do business together. That's how it's always been since the beginning of time. But here's the thing, with social media, you can do this at scale across the world. The fact is, I put out podcasts every single week, and because of that, people watch it. Last month on my channel alone, we had over 100,000 hours of what's called watch time. That means people watched my channel for over 100,000 hours. Think about how much trust is being built because of the time they spent watching my content. And guess what? I didn't spend 100,000 hours building relationships with people myself, right? There's not even that many hours in a month, it's impossible to do, yet we can do it with social media. And many of you watching this, like I said at the beginning, have spent a lot of time with me, even though we've probably never met and I don't really know you. It's because content allows us to build trust at scale. And so you can do that for your potential customers as well once you finally start making the decision to create content, okay? So here's the thing, okay? How do you achieve this goal of going short form, long form, customer? What's the best way for an entrepreneur or, a business person to create trust and all that? Because we're busy people. We're running businesses, right? We don't have time to go be full-time content creators. I want you guys to know, I don't have time to be a full-time content creator either. I spend about 5 hours a week making content. That's it. For all the content you see me put out, 50 pieces a day, I spend 5 hours a week. That's 20 hours a month. It's the best 20 hours I spend every single month. It gives me the highest ROI. It's not even close. Yet, we're able to put out so much content in such a short period of time because of what I'm about to reveal to you. So, here's what we do, okay? I believe the best thing you can do is create a podcast, all right? Many of you know I've got the Wealthy Way podcast. It's a top-ranked podcast in business. It's actually, I just saw the other day, in the 1% of the 1% of all podcasts. So I think there's like 3 million podcasts or so out there. It's in the 1% of the 1% of not just like a category, but all podcasts, period. So we know a thing or two about doing podcasts, all right? But over the years of doing it, I've now realized it is the best for anyone to do. Here's why, okay? Number one, it's natural. Okay, doing other forms of content where things are like super scripted, or even doing short form content where it's like you talk directly to the camera, you gotta say something really quick in the next 30 seconds, it's not natural. It's like a whole new language you gotta learn. But with a podcast, you go get a guest, you guys just talk. Everyone here has talked to people before. Like, it's very natural to just have a conversation, right? The second thing it is it's efficient, all right? Podcasting is super efficient for a few reasons. Let's just take an example here. Let's say you were to film one podcast a week, all right? Takes an hour of your time. You film one per week, and what can you do with that? Well, you get your one piece of content in long form, but you can also repurpose it and go get 7 of these short forms, okay? If you follow my stuff, go look on my Instagram, right now after this or whatever, right? You'll see short form clips from my podcast. They're just repurposed. They didn't take any extra time for me to go film or make. My team has just taken my podcast and made them into these short form reels and TikToks and YouTube shorts. And guess what? When people see one of those short form clips, they say, wow, where can I watch the rest of that episode? That was really good. And so they go and watch the entire episode. And guess what? When they watch the entire episode, maybe it was over an hour. Now they spend an hour of time with me. They've built an hour of trust. And guess what? If somebody spends, I would say, at least 10 hours with you or me, they're going to have enough trust to become a customer. That's it. That's the math. Like, that's the big secret about all this. And so the goal ends up becoming, how do you just get this process done as fast as possible? I just literally laid it out for you. Okay, so podcasting is super efficient for the entire just stream of how to go about it, right? The third thing is, I'm gonna just put the algo. The algorithms like long form content. YouTube, if you watch, they're pushing long form content, hour plus, because they want people to stay on YouTube. The longer somebody watches YouTube, the more money YouTube makes because they can feed them more ads. So, YouTube doesn't want a 2-minute video. YouTube wants an hour plus video. So guess what? When the algorithm wants the kind of content you're putting out, you're gonna get more views because of it, because the algorithm wants it. And so podcasting is great for that. The fourth thing is trust. I mentioned this before, but it builds trust the quickest. There's just no other way to go spend an hour with somebody. You're not gonna go make an hour-long vlog. Like, that's significantly harder. It's less interesting to people. People would rather sit there and listen to a conversation and build trust that way. And think about this for a second, okay? Podcasting seems like this new thing, but it's not. The idea of two people having a conversation has been around since the beginning of time. And when you just look at television and radio, that's all it's been for the last 100 years, right? People on the radio would just have conversations and dialogue. Then, you add television, and let's just say these old school late night shows. It's like you got the host and the guest. Then, for me, I'm a sports guy. Look at all the stuff they do on SportsCenter and all these shows, right? SportsCenter is all about Stephen A. Smith and somebody else debating, or Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp debating, right? People debating and talking have been a thing for a really long period of time, and people will always like that form of content, all right? And podcasting just happens to be the next evolution of that, where any of us can start doing it, okay? We don't have to, be big TV people or big radio people. We can all start our own show today, okay? So it's the easiest to build trust. It's been around forever. And then also, too, I'll say the best part is the guest. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how important the guest is, because the guest does so many things for you and your business and your show. Think about it. If I bring on a good guest, like I've had Grant Cardone as a guest, he's been our biggest guest to date as far as how many views it got. We've gotten hundreds of thousands of views from Grant, okay? So why is that? Well, Grant has his own following. And so when you bring Grant on your show, it's not just your following who's like looking forward to this episode now, it's his following that is now gonna watch it too. And guess what? They're gonna become aware of who you are now, okay? So you get to collab with all these guests and bring their audience to you. Here's the thing, you can't really do that with any other form of content, right? Like Grant's not gonna go film a vlog with me. Short form content, he's not getting out of bed to go do a 30-second clip with me. But everyone does podcasting because it helps them too. By him coming on my show, it's helped him because I built my show to what it is today. Are you gonna go get him or me or somebody like that right away off the bat when you have no viewers? Probably not, but you're gonna work your way to that. I had to work my way to it by using the people I already knew, people in my network, and then I just slowly kept getting better and started getting bigger and bigger guests, okay? So the guest on that perspective is huge. The second reason the guest is huge is because now you get to build a relationship with the guest. Think about it. Trust. Trust is so important for building with a guest, okay? If I spend an hour, let's just use Grant again in this example. If I spent an hour with him interviewing him, guess what? We're building trust and we're building a relationship. And then that's gonna lead to other things. And it already has. I've done quite a few things with Grant since our first interview. We've done another interview. I've done actually a couple of TV shows with him. I've been to his office. We've hung out. All that started from the very first podcast when we basically got to know each other and build trust. And, that's happened for all my guests on the show. I've had guys like Alex and Layla Hormozi come on my stage for my big events because of doing the podcast together. Same thing happened with Cody Sanchez. Being a guest on my show has allowed me to build relationships with those people. And, whatever that leads to, it leads to, business-wise, relationship-wise. They've also been people who have introduced me to other people I wanted to meet. So the relationship from the guest is so important. And then even too, you start interviewing the right people, you're just gonna learn stuff. The fact is, I've learned so much interviewing people on my podcast, and I honestly just selfishly ask questions that I wanna know the answer to, okay? So guests are super important on the podcast. And truthfully, when you put all 5 of these together, it's like, dude, it's a no-brainer. If you're an entrepreneur or a business person and you don't have a podcast, I don't know what you're doing. You're missing out. But thankfully, you're watching this training so you understand the power of the podcast, okay? The other thing I want to say is a lot of people are like, all right, well, if that's what I have to do, cool. What do you think about just doing reels and shorts? Is that powerful? Yes. If you watch my content, I still would do what I call a direct filming reel, where it's not, from my podcast, it's me thinking of an idea, doing this, 30 to 60 second piece of content, and that's it. It's a standalone piece of content. I think they're amazing, but I think that they are more built to amplify this, okay? If you said all I want to do is short form and not this, I'd say no. This is what you should do, as the foundation. If I were to say, that your brand and your content was an ice cream, what I would say is, okay, this is the actual ice cream. Okay, this is the foundation of what people want. And then the direct filming short form are the sprinkles, the Twitter and stuff, or That's all the other stuff. But the base of it is all right here, okay? So if you're just getting started, let's start with the base and, add those things on top of it, right? So at the end of the day, that's like the key with production, all right? Now, let's talk about the next piece of this, monetization. All right, so monetization is huge, okay? Here's what I just tell people all the time, right? Content is just marketing. At the end of the day, it's another form of marketing. That's it, right? If for any of you guys who have businesses and you're thinking about your marketing budget, you're always gonna run your ROIs. You're like, man, if I go buy these Facebook ads, if I buy this pay-per-click, if I run this TV commercial, what's my ROI gonna be from this, right? That's how we evaluate marketing. Well, content is no different than that, right? Because you're gonna go pay money to go get content produced, and you're gonna put effort into yourself to create the content. And so, you're gonna be looking for an ROI. I can tell you this, unlike other forms of marketing, content is exponential, okay? Let me ask you a question. What happens? You start running Facebook ads and you stop paying Facebook to run the ads. Well, they stop running your ads, and guess what? You're wiped off the face of the earth. Nobody will ever see the ad again, all right? Now, what happens if you use that same money and put it towards content creation? Well, you start making this content, and then you post it on YouTube, you post it on whatever, and sure enough, guess what happens? Well, it stays there forever. Like, that's what happens, okay? And if it's really good, YouTube or whoever else will push it because it's in their best interest to push good videos. And so if it's good, you get more views. Even if it doesn't get that many views, it's still there forever, and you can always send people back to it, right? So here's the thing. Why do I say content is exponential? Well, let's just say, you go and spend $5K on content right now, okay? You go spend $5K, you say, hey, I'm gonna go spend $5K a month on content. And let's just say you started with 0 followers, all right? So you're starting from scratch. This is obviously the worst time to start, right? And let's say in a year, to make math simple, you got 100,000 followers, all right? Oops, followers. So now you have 100,000 followers. Along the way, depending on what your business is, if you got to 100,000 followers, my hope is you were able to monetize in some kind of way. And I'll talk about that here in a sec. But let's just focus on this topic real quick. So all of this was in year one. You went from 0 to 100,000, you were spending $5K a month. Now, your return, I don't know, let's just say you made 100 grand in your business because you got a certain amount of leads, you monetized and whatever else, right? So, you didn't get like this crazy return because if you spend 5K a month, you spent 60 grand for the year, but you still made great money. But the real key you did was you now built 100,000 followers that no one can take away from you, okay? This is the real asset you bought. So your business might not have benefited from it tremendously, but this asset is worth a lot, okay? Now here's what I mean, okay? This was year one. Let's say in year two, now that you've got a following, you went from 100,000 to, 300,000, okay? 300,000 followers. Well, guess what? Now that we're starting from 100,000, you have like a much higher floor of, how your videos are gonna do. They're gonna naturally get more views because you have more followers, and that's gonna be more revenue from month one. Because in month one over here, when you had 0, you probably weren't making any money, right? But as time went on, you started to make more and more money every month. Well, guess what? Now that you're starting from 100 and you're going here, you're gonna make more and more money, especially if your business starts getting better on the back end, everything else. My point is, if 0 to 100 made you 100 grand, 100 to 300 might make you 500 grand or more, right? Could make you easily over $1 million. Content does not go linearly. It's exponential. This is the point I'm making. The other point I'm making about it is, this is just assuming you put out the same volume of content. You could still put out 5K a month at that level, and you're gonna put out the same amount of content. You just have, a better baseline you're starting from, and you're gonna get better with repetition. So by spending 5K, now all of a sudden, your 60K made over 500K, all right? These are just rough examples. I'm not saying this is gonna happen for you because I don't know your business, so don't hold me to this. But philosophically, this is what happens. It's what happened for me. I saw it happen firsthand. Every year has gotten more and more views, and it's gotten a better and better return. And as you start making more, you can start spending more. You don't have to spend $5,000. You really want to light it on fire, go spend 10 grand, spend 15 grand, whatever you want to do, right? So content is the only form of marketing that scales exponentially. When you do other marketing, the moment you stop paying them, it's gone. With this, you've got your followers, your content stays on the platform. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all these guys they're not deleting it, all right? You might get canceled one day, but that's so rare for people, right? So your content stays on there. And here's the thing too, okay? When you start running ads, let's just say now you got 300,000 followers, okay? And you say, hey, look, I want to go spend 10 grand on ads a month. Well, guess what? Two things are going to happen. One is, somebody who's never heard of you before, they see your ad. What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to say, well, is this Ryan guy legit? Let me go and check his social media out. So guess what? They go to my TikTok, they go to my Instagram, they go to my YouTube. They see all this content there. They see these followers and they say, wow, okay, this guy's the real deal. I'm going to use him, right? Or the opposite happens. And they say, they already knew who I was because guess what? They've been following me. They've been consuming content. They've been spending time with me. They've been building trust. And they say, Ryan, they see an ad for me talking about, Pineda Media, right? And they're like, dude, and honestly, that's probably how you ended up here, right? You had been following stuff. You said, man, okay, I actually do want to build my brand. Let's see what Ryan has to say about this. And then boom, all of a sudden, it converts into a customer because of the time you've already spent on the organic side. And then the ad made you aware of something, I had to sell, right? So either way, content will amplify your ads because either they didn't know you and then they're gonna now get to know you through your organic content, or they knew you and they didn't know about the offer you had, okay? So content is super, super important for monetization, ad spend, everything else. And the thing to ask yourself is, what is a deal worth? Okay, what is a deal worth to you? I mean, for me, let's just say when I was flipping houses, an average house flip was worth $30,000, right? Today, prices are way higher. Let's say for somebody who's flipping houses, a deal could be worth $50,000 to them, right? I mean, if your deal's worth $50,000, okay, and you're spending $5,000 a month, just using simple math, right? If you get one deal, you're pretty close to just breaking even. I can comfortably say if you put out content every single day with the short form, the podcast, and everything else over the course of a year, you're pretty likely to go get at least one deal from the content. And that would almost break you even. But my guess is if you're putting out the content, you're probably gonna get more than one deal. The same thing is true with clients, okay? Let's say you're an online coach. Let's say you're trying to get an education like I'm in, okay? Our education company does 8 figures a year. The reason is we have all this stuff I am talking about, okay? We run ads, we do organic content, it gets people into the coaching programs. And guess what, okay? If I'm just spending, we'll go back to you guys. If you're spending $5,000 a month, what's one coaching client worth to you? Maybe it's $10,000, maybe it's $20,000, $30,000, I don't know, right? But if you could call it a couple of clients a year, you're probably gonna break even. If you could get one client a month, you're gonna be positive. And so for me, I know it works for me. I know it works for other coaches. I know it works on the investing side. I've raised tens of millions of dollars. So it's like, what's one apartment building worth to me? Because I was able to raise the capital from social media. All of this are things you gotta ask, but it's like, when people come to me and they have successful businesses and they're like, is content worth it? $5,000, $10,000 a month's a lot of money. I'll be like, well, what is a deal worth to you? At the end of the day, if a deal is not worth a lot of money to you because your business isn't at that place, then I'll say, yeah, content is probably not for you, because your business doesn't allow for it yet. That's not a content issue. That's you need to work on your business issue, all right? But if you have a business that's, making great money and, deals are worth a lot of money to you, investors are worth a lot of money to you, then spending $5,000 to $10,000 a month is nothing, okay? That becomes irrelevant because you're gonna probably have to do it anyway, and there's no better form of marketing than building your own brand because nobody can ever take that away from you. At the end of the day, nobody can ever take away your brand and your skill, all right? And the reason, well, I should say not the reason, but the way that you go about converting this into deals for yourself is just making sure you have your back end optimized. You know, things like DM funnels. Some of you guys probably ended up on a DM funnel here. Things like getting proper lead magnets, right? This is a lead magnet I've used for my podcast, this training right here. Things like email marketing and video sales letters and webinars and, you know, all that stuff, okay? You need to get all those things dialed in. And if you do that, then you're gonna be successful in monetization, okay? So for me, you know, at the end of the day, the best entrepreneurs in the world are doing this. They're all building their brands. They're all, you know, taking social media seriously. They're all building out these teams and spending all this money to do it, right? Most of them are spending 50K plus, right? I know some of these bigger guys are spending multiple six figures on content. For a majority of the world, obviously that's not feasible, right? So what should somebody like you do? Well, I'll tell you, you should work with us at Pineda Media, all right? And I don't say it biasly. I say it because that's what I would do if it existed when I first got started. You know, back in 2020, when I first got started, I was looking for something like this. I was like, man, if somebody could just help me from the beginning, help me figure out what I need to talk about, who I want to go after, and if they could help me produce the content and figure out how to monetize, I would hire them in a heartbeat, okay? But it didn't exist. It didn't exist back in 2020 because social media and TikTok and all these things had not really blown up to the degree they are today, right? And there aren't many people who have successfully done it in this entrepreneur space to understand all those parts I just mentioned, from blueprint to production to monetization. But we have, okay? We did it for me. And everything that we've built has been stuff we try on me. And we're constantly trying new things with my content to see what works so that we can then apply it to our clients. You know, we have many, many clients across many different industries, all following the same blueprint, okay? And they're having success. And because of that, we're able to look at what's working for them and apply it across to everyone. So it's not just me, but it's a lot of different people. And so if you're asking, how can I go about this process the right way? So I say, you know, you could do it yourself and take everything I've taught you here, which, you know, even this on its own, super valuable training. I hope you got a ton of value. I hope it opened your eyes to what's possible. But, you know, trying to do this on your own is going to be very difficult. And I'll tell you this, it's going to be very expensive to go hire an in-house team. That's something that, you know, a lot of people ask me, like, Ryan, if I'm going to go spend, let's just say 5, 10K a month, why wouldn't I just hire an in-house team? Well, when you start thinking about an in-house team, let's think about all the things that are required to make everything I just talked about happen, right? So, you know, let's say you got a creative director. Like, this is the person really helping you build your brand and your content and everything else. Dude, I mean, creative directors can make six figures, but let's just say you go get somebody at like 6K a month to be your full-time in-house creative director, right? Then you need an editor. Okay, so you go get an editor, and I don't know, for everything we're talking about, let's just say they cost 3K. Then you're gonna go get a videographer. Okay, what's the videographer gonna cost? Once again, I don't know, let's just say 3K, right? Then what else do you need? Okay, you need somebody to post. Okay, somebody to post. Let's just say that's a 2K job, right? Then you need a coach. Okay, you need somebody, you know, and you could say coach, consultant, but you need somebody who's going to be able to look at the whole thing. Maybe the creative director is working on content, but the creative director doesn't understand monetization and business structure and how to do all that stuff. That's a completely different skill set. So let's just say you get a coach, consultant for the back-end monetization. I mean, dude, you want somebody full-time and, you know, help with all that stuff. I mean, let's just say they're like the creative director. So these are just a couple of the roles that you would need full-time if you were to hire out all the things I just talked about, okay? And I mean, what does that come out to? 6, 12, 14, you know, that's 20K, okay? That's $20,000 if you wanted an in-house team yourself, okay? It's a lot of money. Guess what? The best people in the world, they work their way up to that because their business can justify it and they themselves start to understand how this all works. But even if you were to hire all these people for your team, which would cost you way more than working with us, but even if you were to hire these people, how many of them just understand like what needs to be done for your industry? How many creative directors know what kind of content you need to make as an entrepreneur so that you can maximize returns for your business. There's a lot of creative directors out there, they know how to get views, but they don't understand what a real view for you is. I have a lot of people who are like, Ryan, this guy gets so many more views than you. It's like, well, I make more money than them. Guess what? Not all views are created equal. It's not all about maximizing views on a video. It's about getting the right people to watch your video, which all starts back to the blueprint. Who do we want to watch our video? Who's our dream customer? How do we get them to watch and follow? Okay. So it's like, he may not even do that. Okay. Editor and video, I'll give it to you. Those people, they're probably, I would guess, the least important part of this. Most of you watching this probably thought, oh man, like I'm just missing good edits. You're not, trust me. Okay, good edits, that ain't gonna save you if you have the wrong strategy. But that part, okay, that your video production, obviously the better it is, the better you'll do, but it's, I would say, the least important, like I said. Okay, somebody posting, cool, but then the coach, the back-end monetization. I mean, this person could be worth millions of dollars, but how many of those people are just sitting around willing to work for 6K? I mean, the best aren't, right? So in the end, even if you were to go find all these people, and even if you were to, like really get them, it's going to cost you a lot. And how much time are you going to spend trying to go find them all and vet them all, and inevitably, have to go through the process of, maybe hiring a couple, firing a couple until you find the people you like, right? It's a big process. Or you can just work with us and we can do it for you, okay? And you're getting somebody who's experienced. You're actually getting it for much cheaper than this. You're getting somebody who understands the entrepreneur business and what views are good for the entrepreneur. And you're getting somebody who just wants to see you succeed. Because guess what? If you don't succeed, you're not going to stay with us. And so my goal with everybody we bring in is to help them succeed, build sustainable content, build a brand around what matters to them and their business, build a schedule that is sustainable, right? I don't want people making content 40 hours a week. We ain't got time for that. We're running our business, right? Everything that we built is with you in mind as the business person, investor, or entrepreneur. So here's the thing. If you would like us to take you through this 3-step process, if you'd like us to, help you with building your brand, building your own custom blueprint, get you things like your podcast cover, your logos, getting you, the right avatars, getting you PR kits built out so you can get on other podcasts, getting you literally everything you need with your setup, your lighting, all that stuff. If you want that, we can help you on the blueprint alone. We can also help you with ongoing coaching and consulting. That's what we do for all of our clients initially. From there, you could take that, and if you want to take that blueprint and go hire your own team, you're more than welcome, right? You'll have the foundation that you need to have success. It's going to cost you a lot, but you'll have the foundation with the blueprint we give you. But if you want to continue with us from the blueprint, we can actually go do the production for you. We can do all the things I talked about with, editing your podcast, repurposing them, getting you all the assets you need to keep going, right? We can even do the direct filming reels. We can do all of that. From there, we're going to teach you how to monetize. Okay, I literally teach our clients how to monetize. I hop on Zoom calls and figure out how do we, enhance your offers? How do we get more leads? How do we close more deals? How do we make more revenue for your company? Literally, from me, in my mind, we create all of our monetization strategies. I test them on myself before giving them to our clients, okay? So I already know you can't really hire people to the scale that we do for the price we do. So the question is just, whatever's holding you back, right? So at the end of the day, I would love to work with you at Pineda Media, whether it's just creating you a brand blueprint or whether it's going all the way and doing the blueprint, production, and monetization with you. But anyways, it's going to be very costly to build all this out for you. I would love to help you out at Pineda Media. It's going to be a fraction of the cost for us to work with you. We can help you all the way from building out your brand blueprint to then helping you with production and monetization. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you book a call with my team by just going to pinedamedia.com and checking it out. You can book a free strategy call. We would love to help you. And for everyone else, thank you for watching this video. Take care.
Whatever it is you want to do this day and age, you can hyper learn that subject in 60 days. The information is out there. You put everything you can over 60 days, you're going to have a very good understanding of whatever it is you're trying to do.